Welcome back to Valiant Effort. I'm Nick.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Ted.
And today we're driving a 2018 Jeep Wrangler Sport. For today's performance category, we have elected to not drive it on a road because there's basically nothing to talk about.
Not much.
Well, nothing positive.
Nothing positive.
No.
This is not a road car.
Right. And even the owner of this car says as much. It's really a car that you buy to go on trails, to go off-road, to go rock crawling. On road, it's kind of brutal, honestly.
I like it a lot now. Like, now it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Like, it's not $32,000 worth of fun, but like, it makes more sense now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Like, I get why people buy these now.
Yeah, if you are doing stuff like this where you're just driving in the middle of nowhere, or if you have a lot of property and you need to get around your property,
Yeah.
to survey fencing or something. I don't know what people do, but like,
It's
it
kind of
makes
fun.
more sense.
Is it, you know, like we've talked about, well, before, you know, it has enough power. It's fine on the road. The brakes are fine, but like that, it's a fine car.
Yeah.
But like, there's daily drivability is non-existent. Like, there's no reason to buy this car as a daily driver.
driving, yes.
And if you have zero intention of driving it off-road, like, there's cars that are so much more comfortable, probably less money,
Yeah.
and you get a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually really fun. And we're doing like 3 miles an hour.
I was saying this earlier, like if you're living up in like the boonies in Montana or Oregon or
Yeah, but you just proved my point.
something up, right, like I said, there's not a lot of places you need to do this. You said there's not a lot of places you can.
Well,
Like,
we mean,
literally-
recreationally.
Yeah, like that you can even go to do this in general. Like, California has a ton of off-road like parks.
Actually,
Yeah.
up in like New Hampshire and Vermont, there are quite a few. But it's also, you have to drive up to New Hampshire, Vermont.
Or you live in New Hampshire.
Or you live in New
Right.
Hampshire, Vermont. Yeah.
Yeah,
If you live in the New England area and you're trying to do off-roading, you have to go either west or north.
This is kind of like cool.
Yeah.
Like, but
Who
again,
would've
like,
thought
go
Nick
buy.
having fun in a Jeep.
Nick enjoying it.
No. There's a key thing that you guys are missing.
Uh-huh.
Where am I enjoying the Jeep?
Where it belongs.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing. That's why we wanted to do the performance section off-road.
Yeah.
Dude, this thing's like kind of a little badass. Like, the S4 couldn't do this.
No.
I think what we're getting to is the inevitable realization that you can do this for less money and have probably more fun in an older Jeep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the owner of this car is doing that exact thing. And we're gonna review that at some point. And I think that is really where it's gonna be at.
Yeah.
Up there.
So I think
Oh, yeah.
what we've realized is that driving a Jeep on road, you're never going to understand, like, it's never gonna make sense.
No.
And when you
Just won't.
take one here, even this little trail, which is probably not fun compared to any trail in a park somewhere,
This is like their driveway.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're just gonna have so much fun doing that, and that's
Well, you know what was really interesting is I had talked poorly about the suspension on road. I mean, we all did, saying that it was really meant for off-roading. And honestly, off-road, it's almost more comfortable
Right.
yeah.
than it is
I'm not
on-road.
uncomfortable. Like a couple of big bumps we hit, it's like oof, but it settles quickly.
right.
Settles and dampers it well. It does its job.
Yeah.
And I know that Jeep tried to make the JL Wrangler better on road, and they did succeed. Like it is much better than the JK, but it's still not good.
No,
It's still not good.
It's just not a road car.
it's not.
It's not a daily driver.
No.
As much as we adored the Jeep on our little trail, we have to reiterate, it is an awful road car. It doesn't matter how you option it, 2-door or 4, it's still not something we could recommend as a daily. The ride is rough and crashy, and it's super loud inside. The interior seems to have closely mirrored our experience behind the wheel, being matched to only one of the Wrangler's attempted dual personalities.
Oh, I have one positive.
Okay.
So I think my biggest positive is I actually really like the electronic speed readout. I like the font. It's very nice.
I like the whole screen. I think the screen is tremendous. You've got all these cool little, you can see your oil temp, your coolant temperature, you can see your, the tire pressure. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that you can take a look at, which is really nice.
I agree. The center console in general it's very useful. Or not center console.
The center screen. So the gauge cluster.
The gauge cluster and the center screen in general is very useful, I think, for this type of vehicle. Especially, like we said, if you're going to use it on the off-road capabilities, you don't really care as much about your speed. You're more focused on your tack. You're more focused on your engine temp. You're focused on how much fuel you have left. Mm-hmm. Can you get through this trail? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
Or do you need to stop and give the engine a break? Is it overheating a little bit?
The theme here, I think, in the interior is just utilitarian.
Oh, very much so.
Rubbery grips on the knobs. Everything is kind of like that rubbery material, plasticky,
which
easy to clean.
I like easy to clean, easy to grab, easy to use. And that's going back to my Tacoma interior, where it's just very utilitarian.
Yeah. What do you guys think of the center screen?
I don't like it.
I know. Yeah. Nick doesn't like it.
What don't you like about it?
It's just cheap. It reminds me of the kind of the base Ford one, like the normal sync.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
And again, in this application right now, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Because we were looking at what you can do with this, and as a base pack, as at stock,
Yeah.
you can ford 30 inches of water.
Oh, right.
At 5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about a thing.
Yeah.
Like maybe your carpet's gonna get wet. Maybe your feet are gonna get wet. But the electronics, everything else is up above, taken care of. You're not worried about it.
Yeah, I don't know that having the nicer screen would make an impact, but
just in general, the utilitarian.
Well, the screen also isn't terrible. It's touchscreen and it's fairly quick. It doesn't have a lot though. This doesn't have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, and I think off-road, who cares?
Yeah.
On-road, I care a lot if I'm buying a newer car.
Right.
And it's going to impact my daily driving experience. But as far as good things about the interior, I actually think the seats are really comfortable.
They're comfortable for off-roading. They're very tough. They're very hard seats for on-road.
I actually didn't think they were too
drives.
bad.
I've actually stayed pretty comfortable myself.
My hour and a half drive here, picking up the car was fine. As far as the seats are concerned, there were some other things I didn't like about the driving experience, which I'll talk about later. But yeah, I think it's fine. And I know we really like, one thing we all agree on is the look of the
gear shift.
The gear lever is really nice. It's got the red.
I love the red
lockout ring.
Lockout ring for reverse.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it is.
Well, we found your home, GP. Weird trail.
Yeah, again, to reiterate, this thing sucks on the road.
Yeah.
What else? I like.
But actually, I say that not really jokingly. I'm pretty serious.
Yeah.
But that also plays a point to the interior, because the interior off-road makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
On-road as a daily driver
doesn't.
Is where I think you lose a little bit.
And
I just think, again, this is a base Jeep, $32,000. That's the tech you're getting. That's what I go to. Whenever I spend any money, I'm just I compare it to other cars in the price range.
Yeah.
And I just think the quality as a daily driver in this price category isn't there. That's my gripe.
My confusion is the steering wheel. Because you have everything right, utilitarian, meant for off-road, and then you've got a steering wheel that has all of your call buttons on it. It's got your cruise control buttons on it. I'm like, do I even really want those anymore?
Or, better question, do you really want to talk on Bluetooth in this?
No, I do not. Because this is not a quiet interior.
No.
This is a speakerphone all the way up, yell into your phone, and put the speaker next to your eardrum.
You have two options. You've got loud and really loud in this. And loud is kind of right now, / kind of with the top up and the windows up on the highway.
Yeah.
Really loud is top down, doors off on the highway.
Yeah.
Right.
Or any regular road that's not a 10 mile an hour joyride or whatever through the boonies.
I have to say though, with all these doors off, now that I'm back here, the car kind of sounds good.
Yeah.
I do really like how easy it is to put the roof back.
Yeah, to do the
Clip,
just the sunroof concept, basically, or the large sunroof.
Which I think is more than what you'd really ever need.
Yeah. To fold it all the way back, it's a pain. So much so that we don't want to do that today. Yeah.
Oh, you mean take the whole roof
No,
off?
because you can drop the rear section too. Take the windows off and drop it all the way back like you would a traditional soft top.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and that's why you would get the traditional soft top if you wanted to do that. This offers easy, boom, just throw it back after you unhook two things. I mean, this is kind of like Miata easy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing I actually do like about Jeeps is that, or the Wrangler, I guess, specifically, is that you can kind of customize it however you want.
When I love just, this Jeep doesn't have any because it's, leased, but the aftermarket for Wranglers in general is
Good.
Is just outstanding because
it's infinite, really.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you want some random thing? 3,000
There are
people
Rule
already have it.
34 version for Jeep accessories. Like,
Yeah.
if it exists, there's a Jeep accessory for it.
As expected, the interior leaves a lot to be desired for a daily road car. But the Jeep belongs on the trails, and when you contextualize it that way, it starts to make sense. It's rugged, durable, and easy to take apart and clean. However, is a new Wrangler worth the cost of admission just for off-roading? Or is there a better way?
So I think the big sticking point for all of us is price. And this spec, this Sport 2018 was $32 when it was new. And it's probably not that much less now because Jeeps hold their value like crazy. Whether you think that's justified or not, they just do. And that's nice if you buy them and you're a real big Jeep person, but it's not great buying used, or at least recently used.
Yeah.
It's just not worth, like this is probably worth what, 25, 26 now, maybe a little more.
You really have to wait like 10 years before it's even worth buying a used one. And even then, do you really want an only 10-year-old Jeep?
Yeah, because at that point it's like, why not go back to the 4-liter straight 6 Jeeps that are bulletproof, reliable, and also cooler in a lot of ways for most people. I like them better. But this feels so capable out here. I feel like a god.
Ooh, twig in the leg.
Wow.
Well, you know what's funny too is I think the Jeep is kind of, it looks okay. It looks fine. The new one looks pretty good. But it's like being out here, you were really worried that we were going to scratch the paint. But now everything makes sense because without the doors, all
There's
the
no
plastic is there to protect basically the paint that would be
You don't have
there.
any paint.
Right.
Yeah. No, it really does. And like when we got out of the car at the end of going up and down the trail, we were like, oh, everything's perfect.
Yeah.
And like a little bit of mud on the plastic.
But that looks good.
It looks cooler that way, yeah. Paul, he'll get more money for this thing. I don't know. I think it looks really good, but
It looks good, but it's not like...
it's not pretty.
If someone asked you what a good-looking car was, you'd never say Jeep. It's just this Jeep happens to look good.
Yeah. No, you're
Compared to some of the older ones. Like, you go really old, they look good. Really new, they look good. Like, was it like the 11 or 12 looks really bad?
the JKs are my least favorite in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Well, that's why
those are 8 to whatever or 7 to whatever.
In order to convey our unfiltered opinions of the cars which we have drastically different perspectives on, we decided to add a new reoccurring segment where we each take a solo drive and share our thoughts.
Alrighty, viewers. So, as James May would say, now that we're alone, I'm gonna give you my honest thoughts about this thing. And I love it and I hate it.
Coming into today, I definitely had the lowest expectations, and my bar was pretty much as low as you can possibly get in terms of, expectations from this car. I've just always seen Jeeps as something that people buy because they want to go off-road, or they think, well, I need a car for the apocalypse.
And I think that I'm somewhere in the middle between Nick and Josh. Nick really hates it.
I'm just not a Jeep guy. I just don't see the appeal.
And I think Josh really likes it. He's a Jeep guy.
And see, the thing about the other two is that I'm a Jeep guy. I learned to drive in a 46 Willys. I had the privilege of that. Wonderful experience if you can ever get one. And I daily drove a 94 Cherokee XJ, two-door sport, simple thing. It was even two-wheel drive, and I loved that. It was so great to drive in.
He owns a 94 Cherokee, and to a certain degree, I get it. I really do. I'm driving it on this trail here, and yeah, it's not anything crazy.
And that's honestly how this car is built. And after driving it on the road for, 20, 30, 40 minutes, and then driving it off-road for 5 minutes, it's so obvious that this car is built for the, 1 to 5% of owners who want to off-road this thing. It's so terrible on the road in terms of value and performance and the cost. If you're buying this car to drive on the road, don't do it. Just don't even bother. It's terrible.
But I just think that on-road, unfortunately, the clutch is just so awful. And I hate to say that because, I love a manual transmission, but it almost feels like in some ways I would rather have the automatic. I mean, that might be sacrilege, but when a bad manual or a good automatic, I'd probably take the good automatic, to be quite honest.
My only thing is I really don't like the clutch on road. I really wish that there was maybe almost a little option in there where you could adjust the clutch to on-road or off-road settings. That would be nice.
I genuinely don't understand the point of buying this car if you're in the 99% that are trying to daily drive this. I mean, for 32 grand, you can get a car that gets better gas mileage, that's more comfortable, that has better tech. What more can you ask for?
It does make more sense off-road, but I couldn't daily drive this. And I think that's the biggest issue I have. It would have to be a toy. And I think for me, I'm more into toys that are on-road cars. I mean, that's why I own a Miata.
I love Jeeps. I don't know what it is or why it is. Every time I drive one, I get a quirky little smile on my face.
Oh, this is cool. It's like a little meadow hill here. Oh God, this is so fun. It's so fun.
Cause it's just a fun little car to drive.
And even if you're, say 5% of the owners drive this car off-road, how many people need it to do more than just going on a fire road? I don't know. Maybe that's too much of a rant, but that's, genuinely how I see this car. But I gotta say, it was a blast to drive off-road.
I love the experience of it off-road. It is so much fun. Just going up and down these trails, I could probably do this for hours.
Even driving it on this, basically utility road is just a blast. And while I understand that you would never want one as a daily driver, I honestly don't mind hopping in it to do a quick 25, 30-minute drive down to the store and back. And I wouldn't mind the idea of even doing some light highway driving with it because I'm willing to take those, I guess, terrible negatives with the positive of the fact that it is a Jeep. And that's really what I'm thinking here.
Clearly, we disagree. The JL Wrangler is great off-road and terrible on-road, and its functionality mirrors that. Its 3.6 Pentastar is reliable, but newer FCA vehicles are always a bit of a gamble. If you asked us for a recommendation, we'd probably say get an older Jeep. They offer almost everything this offers, but with better reliability, and you don't need to spend 30 to 50 grand on a vehicle that's awful on road. However, if you're like Josh and you're just a Jeep fanatic, this newer generation of Wrangler is still more than capable of putting a quirky smile on your face, too.
Hey, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more car reviews, DIY videos, and an upcoming podcast.
And like and subscribe.
I don't love. God damn it! Why is this so difficult?
Come on out.
This really sucks.